Hi everyone, it's Nancy McNally of NancyMcNallyQuilts.com, and today we're going to work on the quilt block, Aunt Addie's favorite. Now, I don't know who Aunt Addie is, that's just the original name of the block. It probably has a couple more names. Matter of fact, I think it does. So, it is a 12.5 by 12.5 unfinished size quilt block. You're only going to need a few colors this time. I have eliminated the red in this block. I like the two colors that I pulled together. So go to my website, NancyMcNallyQuilts.com, and download the Aunt Addie's favorite quilt block. Now, in the pattern, you also receive a coloring page. So don't forget to play with that before you start cutting fabric. Also, we're going to be working with bias triangles. That's what today's lesson is. Bias triangles, but we're making flying geese. And we're going to have a left 2 triangle set and a right 2 triangle set, but you'll see in just a second. So that means bias is ahead. So before you cut, use your, my phone's on. Yep. Sorry, I'll turn it off in just a second. So don't forget to use your favorite spray starch. This is what I use, made by the Magic Company. And so prepare the fabric before you cut it. In the pattern, it is highlighted in red. It says bias triangles ahead. And make sure that you please prepare that fabric. All right, it's time for me to get set up so that you can see what's on the table. So I have everything already cut out. Now I want to show you the flying geese that we're going to be making. And this is why you need to prepare your fabric first with spray starch. Do you see these 2 triangles? You have a left side and a right side. And this is bias also. So we're going to work with, like I said, bias triangles. So if you prepare the fabric first with your favorite spray starch, you should not have any problems. Follow the instructions from your manufacturer on how to use their spray starch. All right, so I do have everything already cut. So yes, we are working with the bias triangles, and we're also going to use the stitch and flip method to make the center of the quilt block, which is right here. So I have my light background, and I'm going to use the blue fabric that I have in all the blocks to create that square in a square. And because we're working with bias for the flying geese, I figured let's do the stitch and flip for this instead of using the other method where sometimes it's not as easy to get your triangles or the center square to become the right size. All right, again, don't forget to download your pattern. If you're not familiar with how my patterns work, your supply list is here. And this is just for making 1 quilt block. So in order to make more, you'll have to obviously do the math. But you can do anything with these quilt blocks. This is all about learning technique and improving your skill, bettering your craft. All right, so in my patterns, I use pressing arrows. I normally use black pressing arrows, but here I've used orange because the blue is kind of dark and the black may not show up as well. But I do switch to black over here. And you can see that I also offer all the pictures and images for you to succeed and be successful in making your quilt blocks. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is you're going to need a writing utensil, your rotary cutter, and a ruler. We'll use the rotary cutter in a moment. So we're going to start with the center square. So in the first step, you're going to need to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner on your blue squares or whatever color you have chosen. So I'm going to lay my ruler down and draw the diagonal line. It's so incredibly easy. Now, one thing that I also do when I am sewing the stitch and flip method is I do not use my 1/4 inch foot. I change it out. You can either use an open toe foot so that you can see the line clearly. Hang on, I'm going to grab it for you. Let's see if I have the open toe foot handy. Of course not. It's put away. Wow, I put something away. But I'm going to use my basic foot that comes with the machine, and because it has this clear piece right here and that center line, I'm going to align that center line on the pressing foot with the line that I draw on the fabric to keep it in line. So I'm going to put this on my machine. So switch yours out if it's easier for you to see. I also have a laser light on my machine, and I do use that sometimes, but you won't be able to see it on camera. That is just for my benefit. All right, so let's get these lines drawn. So if you want to sew along with me, pause the video, go grab your fabrics, cut them, and draw the diagonal line. And then you're going to need your center square. Oh, there's a piece of fuzz on it. You're going to need your center square, which is the light background fabric. Or if you want to choose a different other than the light background, go right ahead. That's why you have the coloring page, so you can do what you like. All right, now it's time to sew. So what we're going to do is we're going to line up in one corner to start out with. So we're going to go right sides together, align the raw edges, these two sides, raw edge to raw edge, oh my goodness. All these raw edges, these are the cut edges, these are the edges of your fabric, and your diagonal line should run, because we're going to start in the top left corner, should run from the center all the way down to the other center. So it's the center of the background. And because this piece, it's not really large, but just to help keep it in place, I'm going to put a pin here. Now, also, you can go ahead and put one down here in the bottom right corner. Yes, these do overlap, but we are not sewing anywhere near that. So I'm going to go ahead and put two at a time, opposite or diagonal corners. Don't do the ones that are next to each other, because what happens is if you do this, now your lines are crossing over and you will not be able to press it the correct way. All right, let's get these sewn. And remember, you're going to sew directly on the drawn line, and do not sew over your pin, please. Okay, so I have this one sewn. Now I'm going to sew this one. All right, so a helpful tip when you are sewing these, I'm going to use this. Your stitches should start in the corner and they should end in the opposite corner diagonally across. If they're a little off, like over here or over here, when you fold your fabric over, they won't line up correctly with raw edge to raw edge. So make sure that you are doing that. So always check first. Make sure that they go all the way to the edge. All right, so the next step is you're going to take your ruler. You're going to lay it directly on that stitched line. And I'm going to use the 1/4 inch. So I have the 1/4 inch line from my ruler running right on top of the stitched line. And you can see I have the 1/4 inch. So I'm going to trim this away. Now these are large enough to keep. And I keep these and I make 1/4 square triangles out of them. And I'll show you that in a moment. Okay, let's flip this one around. And then after we trim the excess off, we're going to press. So if you don't have your iron heated up, go ahead and heat up your iron. I'm going to show you this if you've never seen this before. So I've already trimmed these two, right? Correct? So I'm going to lead with the same color on top. And I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam right here. Same with this one right here. And then when you open them up, you have half of a 1/4 square triangle, and here's the other half right here. So you make a nice size 1/4 square triangle. You can add it to a mug rug if you're going to make a mug rug one day. You can make Ohio star blocks out of it. You can make a coaster out of them. All right, I need to press this. Okay, so once we've trimmed, you then flip the triangles, because now they're triangles. You flip those in place and you press them. Okay, now don't do that. See, that's going in the wrong direction. Rotate it so that it's going from raw edge to raw edge, center to center, and place a pin in it. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. If you feel better just doing one at a time, then by all means just do one at a time. Okay, so we're going to do this. And now, we are almost done with this block. I promise this block is so incredibly easy. Okay, now we're going to sew directly on that drawn line. All right, so now that we've sewn, we're going to trim. Remember, half square or quarter square triangles. You can make half square triangles out of them if you want. It'll work. That'll work just as well. All right, so now let's double check before we move on to the next. At each one of these intersections where the triangles are crossing over each other, you need to make sure you have a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Also, take your ruler, and the size that it's supposed to be is listed in the pattern. And if there's anything extending past the ruler, then you need to trim that off. From here, it looks like I'm okay, but I'm also looking at it at an angle. All right, so I am using a 6.5 inch square ruler and with the Creative Grid ruler. And so midpoint is, I don't know if you can see that white line that's going through, and it's also right here. They need to land directly on those intersections. I have to tweak it just a little bit, and it looks like we're doing pretty good. Okay, now let me set up for the next step, and we are almost done with the block. So here is our star point, our flying geese. There is a left and there is a right, and you have to keep them separated. So if you look in the pattern on page 2, it's step 2. It talks about the star point. So let me pull that over here. So you have to sew them in a particular way. You have to be organized. So that's why I'm telling you to separate these. All right. See, I separated them. So let's get started on how to sew these. Remember, you should have sprayed these with spray starch. Okay, so I'm going to take this one, this yellow, and I'm going to place it on top of this orange one. It's actually more coral than it is orange, but it's okay, you get it. Now, I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to place a pin in this side, and we are going to sew from here down to here. And the reason I'm placing a pin is to remind me which side I'm sewing on. Okay, so you're going to make 4 of these left ones. Okay, if it'll open up, there we go. All right, so we have this one. Now I'm going to open that seam, but right now I'm just going to place it just like that. Now we're going to do the right one. I'm going to take the orange one, I'm going to place it on top. I need to sew 4 of them. I would place a pin in the side that I'm sewing. Okay, let's get this one sewn. Okay, place it right back where it came from. And it looks like this. So yellow to yellow, and then the coral and oranges are going away. So we're creating a straight line that will attach to the center larger white or cream color triangle, whatever you're using. I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to go ahead and open it with my fingers, and then I'll take it to the iron. Do the same thing with this one. All right, place them back where they go. Now, if you want, you could, if you're like, oh, wait, I want the orange on the bottom. It's fine. Did you see how I reversed that? There we go. All right, let's put these back. These are so easy to do now. All right, I need to move it this way so I can hold it. Now, we're going to sew the right one to the triangle, and all you need to do is line up this triangle tip to that triangle tip and align that raw edge to raw edge. And you don't have to offset it at all. This part will hang past the lighter colored larger triangle. Okay, I'm going to put that pin in there. Make sure these are lined up. All right, let's get this one sewn. And we are going to open this seam. There we go. All right, so I'm going to lay it like this. If I can get my fingers to, there it goes. Now, I'm going to press this with my fingers. And I'm going to take it to the iron. And yes, ooh, that's hot. It will go past. It's supposed to. Now, here's the other one. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to line up this tip to this tip, and then raw edge to raw edge. those are your bias edges. Those are your stretching edges. Do not finger them a whole lot. Do not pull, tug, twist, none of that. Just let it be. Okay, I'm going to grab a pin. Ouch, I'm going to grab a pin. I stuck myself with it. Place this pin in here. Doesn't take a whole lot of fabric. It just takes a little bite. And now we're going to get this one sewn. And so what I'm going to do, whoops. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start sewing on this end over here. You can flip it over and begin sewing on that end if you want. All right, so before I open it up, I do want to show you something. Remember I said I'm going to start sewing it on this side right here. When I dropped my presser foot, I also use a 1/4 inch foot that has a fabric guide. And so that fabric guide was right along the edge. And when my needle dropped down, it dropped right into that intersection. And that tells me I sewed the other one correctly. So that's just a little tip for you. Now let's open this up. And so when you open this up, I still need to press it, and I'll press it in just a second. Let me just lay it here. This will form a straight line. And if it doesn't form a straight line, go open it back up before you press it and look, what went wrong? Did I not line it up correctly? Did I have too narrow of a seam? Do something about it now so that you don't lose your 1/4 inch seam right here, because right here, from here to here, I have plenty of room. All right, let me get this one pressed. And then our next step is we're going to pull it together. And I'm going to trim all these extra little triangles that are hanging off. Now I have all 4 of these done. Let me get set up to do the next part, and we're going to pull our block together. Time to lay out our block. So I place the center first, put the flying geese units around it, and then you're going to lay or place your solid squares. And there you have the Aunt Addie's favorite. Isn't that a cute block? All right, now for sewing, we're going to sew this block just like we've done all the others. It's basically a 9 patch, meaning there's 3 across and 3 down. So I'm going to sew the star point, the flying geese to the square, the center block to the flying geese, the star point, flying geese to the square. Now I chain piece those. I'm going to say, like I've said before, I do not do the webbing thing. I do the webbing and I don't get along. I can't do it. I get lost. So I know it's easy for others, but I just can't do it. So then I'm going to cut the excess, the thread between these off, press, and then I'm going to sew this to this, here to here, and here to here. Press, cut the thread off between them, and then I will sew row 1 to the center and row 3 to the center, and it'll be done. All right, I'll meet you back here in just a moment. So there's a tip that I want to give you when you're sewing these rows together. So I've obviously already sewn the top to the center, and I'm going to sew row 3. But I want you to watch this part. All right, so we're going to go. We have to nest our seams on this one because there's lots of bias going on, and we need to nest them. So we're going to go right sides together, and I'm going to flip this around so that I can see it. And I'm also going to trim this. I forgot to trim that piece. So hold on. Let me get that little piece out of here. I don't need it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So now I want you to pay close attention. Do you see this intersection right here? You're going to take a pin and you're going to put it right there. Now, you're going to take this pin and you're going to put it right there where the 2 cross each other from the center. Place it in there. Now I'm putting it all the way through, and I'll change it out in just a minute. So then you're going to line up these 2 seams, this one and this one. Get a pin in there, and I'm just leaving that one there right now. I'll show you what I'm going to do in just a second. I'm going to line these up. Okay, ow, I just poked myself again. Okay, I'll do this in a minute. I'm going to go over here and line this to this. There we go. Place a pin in it. I know it's hard to see with my hands in the way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and place pins. Match these 2 corners all the way out here. Another pin. Okay, yep, it's going to line up. There we go. Now, if there's any fullness right in here, your feed dogs are automatically going to fit it in. So don't worry about that part. What we want to do is we want to make sure that our outer edges are lined up. So when I do this, they are lined up. I'm going to do this on the same side. I might need to pull it just a little bit. Yep, there. There. Now they're together. I'm going to place a pin here, and I might need to grab another pin. I think I do. Hang on. There we go. Got lots of them. Okay, I'm going to move this up here like this. I'm still not taking that center pin out. And some people are like, oh, that's overkill. Nope. All right, so now I've pulled it out just enough. I'm going to put it in right down there. All right, now we can sew. Don't sew over your pins. I use the same center method for this one right here, and they line up spot on perfect. So you're going to sew that, and you're going to sew slow because the seams are kind of thick. So take your time. All right, let me get mine sewn, and I'll be right back to show you. All right, our block is finished, and that is how you make the Aunt Addie's favorite block. Yes, I need to make it lay flat. I haven't finished pressing it yet. I need to press these seams open. So they line up perfect, and they line up perfect. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial on the Aunt Addie's favorite quilt block, part of my Single Quilt Block video series. Don't forget to download your pattern. If you like today's tutorial, please subscribe. So just click the red bell below. I will have in the description box the link to my website, a link to the pattern. And if you have any other questions, you can email me at info@nancymcnallyquilts.com. Please subscribe to support me. And also, if you are on Facebook, you can find my private Facebook group, Sew Anyways with Nancy McNally. You have to answer a couple of questions to join, but please don't forget to do that because I don't know if you're a quilter or not, because I only want quilters in the group. All right. And you can also find me on Instagram at McNally Nancy. And I also have a Pinterest page, but honestly, I don't post very often there just because I forget. So, all right. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. Happy quilting.